Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing? Woo! Can we give it up for all these fabulous women on stage? So, there's a lot of questions. I'm trying to get all the tea tonight, right? So I want to ask each of you, because I've always been curious, is there an audition process when wanting to be on a reality show? And I want to start, Crystal, with you.
Hi, thanks for having me. For me, I don't know, I can't speak on everyone on my cast, or you can speak later, but for me, I got a call a week into lockdown, March 2020. Just, are you interested? They've been kind of tracking your social media. I was like, no, I'm not interested. And they said, why don't you just take a call? And that went on for about 6 months. And it would be a call, and then maybe a month later, another call. Like, you moved on to the next round. I was like, okay. And then it turned into like house shoots and sort of testing like that. So it went on for quite a long time.
Kenya, how about you?
Oh, well, they just called and made me an offer. No, not really.
See, this is Kenya. I'm Crystal. Kenya gets the straight offer.
No, that's not true. I think it just kind of happened for me. I was friends with Miss Lawrence. You guys know who Miss Lawrence is, who's now doing all kind of movies and TV shows. And I think he told the producers that I was moving to Atlanta. And then the calls started, and I just said, "Oh, sure, I wanted to do something different." And so they just started pretty much. I think we had one interview, and then we started filming. They started filming with me.
How about you, Mary?
Oh, well, ours was a new show. So I think they just approached our office. And then we do have many agents in our office that aren't on our show. So they interviewed everybody that was interested, and then they made their final selection.
Stassi?
Yeah.
Microphone. Oh. I was actually working at a restaurant during college called Sir. So, and one day we were there, and Lisa came back and said, can I have everybody stay? And we stayed, and she said, if anyone's interested in doing reality TV, stay. We want to interview you for something, and if you're not, leave. And a lot of people left because they were serious actors, the craft. But then the majority of us stayed, and they interviewed us, and it's actually kind of crazy when you think about it, that I was working at a restaurant, and that's just how it happened. But truly, that's how it went.
Wow. Jenna?
Thanks, Mary. So I was actually on another competition dance show called So You Think You Can Dance. I auditioned for that when I was 18, made it on there, and we actually film at CBS, which is the same studio that Dancing with the Stars films at. They're just across the hall from each other. And a lot of the producers were around during my season while I was competing, saw me, and I got a call a few months after I finished the show and was asked if I would be on Dancing with the Stars. So that's kind of how it happened for me. But I know that they are now auditioning for new roles on the show. So that's really exciting for a lot of upcoming dancers.
Kelly?
Well, mine was a little bit different because I wasn't supposed to be on camera. When I co-created a show and then pitched a project, I was like, they're like, oh, so you're going to be on camera? I'm like, no, not me. I'm like, I'm not on camera. I'm very comfortable behind the scenes. And they're like, well, these are your friends. It doesn't kind of make sense. So that's kind of how me happened on camera.
Now, something I really want to know, and the audience probably really wants to know too, is how difficult was it for you guys to open up your life to the world? And Kenya, I want to start with you, because social media is a double-edged sword, and sometimes you guys get attacked on social media. I'm sure all of you have to.
Sometimes.
Not me.
But how have you dealt with that?
I think initially, I remember my first year, I went through hell. I was like, oh, are you kidding me? I go from Miss USA to being like attacked daily. It was like a different thing for me. And I actually quit my first year. I was like, I'm not doing this, after I saw like all the backlash, all of the, the things that were going on. And I said, I just want to do something different. And then I had many conversations with the producers at the time and my friends, and I decided to come back. But I think you pretty much have to develop a really thick skin. You know, I think you know, if you don't, you will become, you know, crazy. I think that social media is a devil in some ways, you know. If you believe the hype or not believe it, or things that people say that are really, honestly, in a lot of ways, really cruel and intentionally cruel, not just, you know, I didn't mean it that way, cruel. So I think that at the end of the day, I just developed a very thick skin, and now I just twirl on my haters.
As you should. Mary, how about you?
You know, I have had to. I don't get that much hate, luckily, but I still do, and I don't have thick skin, so I have my assistant go through, and if there's anything like really mean, that's just whatever. I'm just hide it, like, you know, just so I don't see it, and I just have to remind myself every time I do see something, or it's like somebody says something publicly about whatever, that things are a reflection of them, not me. They don't know me that well. I mean, they know certain aspects of my life, and if they're taking the time just to be like, "Oh my God, your outfit's so ugly. Your hair looks terrible. You look like you're thin," like all this stuff, like, you know what? That's not anything about me. They're feeling bad about themselves, and they're just reflecting. So I have to look at it that way, and I have killed people with kindness on a couple occasions, and they always end up apologizing afterwards, because especially if they come after my husband. I think in season one was really bad. People just assassinated him, and it just bugged me, because he's the most amazing guy, and I would just kind of spend way too long making a response, like 2 hours, to make sure it was just perfect, just on the response, just to make sure. I'm like, I was just super nice, and where they were like, "I'm so sorry, you're right. This did make me feel, it's about me. It's not like," and so they apologized, and they said they won't ever do it again. They're gonna reflect on their behavior, and I was like, there you go.
I need to take a book from Mary's, Kill 'Em with Kindness. Now, Stassi, social media was very brutal towards you. I know you're very open about being canceled.
Yes.
And I want you to reflect on that and how that has changed your life.
Well, I feel like cancel culture, it's a loaded conversation. There's so much to say about it. I don't want to sound like I'm pro cancel culture, because I'm definitely not. And I don't think anyone who's been in that position would ever say, yeah, cancel culture is great. Like, that's not it. But when you take going through something like that, where you're forced to really examine how you played a part in where you're at, you can either, like, there's two routes you can take. Like, you can be angry about it and feel just like, well, why did everything get taken from me? Or you can actually, like, really digest it and say, these are the things that I've done. How can I learn from that? Where have I gone wrong? And just go on that path. And so again, like, I'm not pro cancel culture, because who are all of us to be able to say, you deserve to have your career taken away, you deserve this? I don't know who's the judge of that, but it works out sometimes, because now I can say that, like, I'm a really good mom to my kid, and I know that I'm somebody that she would be proud of, because I took it seriously. I don't know if that makes sense. It does to me.
It does. It does. It does. And speaking of being a mom, first, can we just congratulate these two ladies right here, because they're going to be such amazing moms. But for all of you, what was the decision to have your children on screen? Why and how did you say yes?
I'll speak to it. So my son, Max, is 10 years old, and my daughter's 7. And that was probably the biggest block for my husband and I to make the choice to actually say yes, because social media, and we're really not into our kids growing up too fast. The world is too fast already. But we decided, when I said yes, I mean, they were 3 and 6 years old. And we sort of made this commitment to, do it at this age and really not continue once they're at an age where they're on TikTok and all those things. Because they didn't sign up for this. My husband and I did. And it's not fair to them. And so they've never seen the show. They know I'm on a show now, and they know their dad makes movies, but he makes family movies. And so we're very protective of that. And there's no judgment when people do that, but just for our family, our privacy and protecting them, we said yes because they were so young.
And Mary, how about you? Because I know when you started season 1, everyone knows your son is a lot older than the rest of the cast's children.
Right.
How was that for you?
Well, he was willing to come on. He's an adult, and so he's almost 26 now. When we got married, he was willing to be on the show. I have asked him if he wanted to be on a couple other times, and he's like, I'm good. No, he's just not that kid. He doesn't care about being in the spotlight. Doesn't really go on social media, thank God. But he just doesn't want to. So I think it's okay if he wanted to be on. I would fully support it. I don't think that people come at me as much where they would then come after him. But I don't know. Luckily, I don't have to deal with it since.
Now, Kelly, in upcoming seasons, will you have your child on screen?
I'm not sure yet. My partner is very private. And I want to respect that. He's probably the only person left on this planet who has no Instagram or any kind of social media, which is also great because he's never seen the show. He has no idea what the show is about, and he's never seen my Instagram. So we have to see. I think it's a discussion to be had.
Kenya?
Oh, well, when I started the show, I was not married and I didn't have any children. Honestly, for me, it just came down to me just being so proud of my daughter that I just wanted to show the world how special she is. I think she's just a beacon of light, and I just hope that one day, honestly, I feel like she will change the world. That's just how strongly I feel about it. So as long as I think that she will be protected, but I do believe at a certain age it will be her decision.
Now, Jenna, all these other ladies have drama that's on their screen. How much drama happens on Dancing with the Stars?
You'd be surprised. Kenya knows. No, I feel so lucky to be able to do what I do. I would say the most drama, I think, I'm in a unique situation where I'm also married to another pro on the show. And a lot of our fan base, I think, are fans of art, which we love, are fans of dancing. But there are a few fans that create fantasies in their head. And dance is very intimate, And I think the concept of seeing me borderline make out with another man season after season, or woman. I danced with a girl my last season. And my husband as well. I think they create these scenarios in their head, and it just becomes so chaotic to them, and they can't understand. And I'm like, I started dancing when I was 4 years old, and I was paired with a little boy, and I was giving you chemistry and moments and magic. That's just a part of the craft. So I would say, on my end, that's kind of the drama I deal with on our show or social media. But you'll get some sassy celebrities that do our show, so they can be pretty dramatic. Kenya wasn't dramatic.
I was very unproblematic.
She was a dream.
But I did hear about a lot of things, not with your husband, but other celebs.
Work.
It was so funny. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. I think they forget that we're not characters on a show, but we're actually also humans who have real lives and not just dancers. So.
Now, I think fans want to know, how much is reality versus how much is scripted? And Crystal, I would love to start with you.
I went in sort of prepared. I knew there wasn't going to be a script, but I thought it was more guided. And I was very surprised that it's not. I think the girls on the show who are more seasoned sort of know how to move story. I've never been on TV. It was never my trajectory. So I was really a deer in headlights, and sometimes I still feel like I am. But they know how to keep storyline going, and for being someone so new, I didn't know that that's what was happening. So my reactions are always authentic and real in this sort of what I consider sort of an inauthentic environment, because you don't really spend 4 months with the same people every day, but the conversations are real, and there is not one script there, so it's pretty real, yeah.
Very real. If you watched the last season of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Too real.
A little
too
too real.
Yeah.
Kelly, how about yourself?
Ours is just like Crystal said, it's very natural, I think, especially at the beginning, because we have no idea where each storyline is going into. But of course, during like interviews and stuff, you kind of have to connect the dots in a sense. But for me, it was definitely a challenge and learning experience, because I'm a scripted producer. So normally with a scripted producer, the middle, beginning, middle, and end. Where the unscripted, it was a whole learning process for me as well.
Stassi?
I feel like I'm thinking back on all of the seasons. In season 1, it's like the realest anything is ever going to be, like your first season of something, because none of us know what we're doing. We're literally living our lives, and oftentimes like the first season is the best one because of that, because then you get smarter, and I wouldn't, maybe smarter is not the right word, but you care about what people think of you. So then you start not living your life totally how you would. So that's when the producers have to step in and guide a little bit. But I'm listening and hearing that, like, yeah, when there are like seasoned people who have been on it for a while, the producers almost don't need to, because they know how to just keep it going. And then for the new people to come in, they're just trying, they have no idea what's going on. So like truly surviving. So I feel that.
Now we're at Power Women Summit, but a lot of times on your shows, the females, there's alliances. And is it mentally draining knowing that you're not getting along with other females, or is it just for show? And Mary, I'd love to start with you.
I like to get along with everybody, and I do a really good job of that in real life, not on TV land. But I still think on this show I get along with everybody, but there's some people, like maybe one on our show, that it is impossible. Like, it's just impossible. And so I just, I think it's very, very traumatic for me. I've actually had to start talking to a therapist to see, and I think therapy's good, but I started talking to a therapist to be like, okay, is this okay to be mad at? Am I just like, all this anxiety? Is this real? She's like, she's crazy. Yes, it's real. Yeah, you are allowed to. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Just want to make sure. And I think it's just very hard for me. But this season was even more dramatic, that we just finished season 6, and I didn't think that was possible. And it was between 2 of my friends, and never saw it coming. And so I was just trying to stay out of it, and of course, Mary in the middle. And so so I was right smack in the middle of it, but it is exhausting to me, absolutely exhausting.
How about you, Kenya?
It's interesting, because when you put a group of women together, you're not always going to bond with everyone. I mean, we already know that. Some people you're going to be like, oh, okay, good. So what about you, And other people are going to be like, oh, my God, I love her. She's incredible. When can we do lunch? And you're seeing them outside of the show. So that's kind of how you know if you're really friends with someone. And then other people, they're so busy either being not nice people or trying to make a name for themselves, so they come after the big dogs on the show. So, when they do that, sometimes you just reach a point of no return where you can't take those words back. I can't unhear what you said. I cannot unsee what you just did. And so for me, I'm really forgiving, but I think it comes to a point where If you go below my line, that's really low because I have really thick skin. So if you go below my line, that's really a never for me after that. So as much as I would love to get along with everyone and we, kumbaya all the time and braid each other's hair, that's not always going to happen with a group of very strong, opinionated women.
Now, Jenna, I would love to know the training that you put into dancing. And also, is it frustrating because you're a professional when you dance with these celebrities and they're not that good? Does it, does that like really bother you?
So I think it's really, it's a great question. I think it's actually really sad because I don't think the producers really prepare the celebrities for what the process of training for our show is going to be. It's pretty grueling and it gets more aggressive as you get to the end. Just that's the nature of the show. And it can be frustrating at times because I feel like I am a master at my craft. And so, for a televised show, I want to be able to put out my best effort. I want to be able to look like $1 million. But I think once you do a few seasons of the show, you realize that this is about the celebrity's journey. So the most fulfilling part about our show is watching somebody progress and get better and be proud of themselves and overcome that fear of doing this very scary, intimate, personal thing, such as dancing, So yeah, it can be frustrating at times, but it is immensely fulfilling. So fulfilling.
I love that.
She's one hell of a dancer. Like,
She is.
incredible. Like, I've never seen anything like it. Just beautiful to watch.
Give it up for that, because you are an amazing dancer. Now, I want to talk about the producers, because you guys can film hours upon hours, and they may just show a 2-minute clip that makes you look bad. Yeah. So I want to know how that conversations with the producers are, and do you curse them out? I just really want to know. And Stassi, I want to start with you.
Thank you. Yes. There has been so many 3 a.m. phone calls of and all the different emotions. Like after we've watched an episode and I'm like, what the that is not how that went. And then yes, they all have to handle the crying, the tears, the angry, then sometimes the threats. Like once the tears haven't worked on the producers, it's like, well then you know what? I'm not showing up to this, and I'm not showing up to that or that, and I won't film with this person. I'll film under the same roof, but not with them. It gets psychotic, truly psychotic. Yeah.
Crystal?
I'm actually opposite. I'm married to a director, and I've been with Rob for 20 years, so I always go to set and I see how, sometimes actors can be very demanding, and so I see sort of the disrespect on that end. So I kind of went in, and every time I see something, I'm like, Rob, watch, we're in bed. We're like, watch, this is gonna explain. And then of course, it's not there. And I'm like, that sucks, because I look terrible. But he just laughs, he goes, this is what you signed up for. This is the direction of the show. This is what's going on. So I've never called, I've never said anything. But they did say I'm the only person ever on Beverly Hills that's never called to complain about an edit, because I also know there's nothing I can do about it. So I'd rather just punch my pillow or my husband, because that feels more effective than calling the producers, who I know they're just gonna sort of appease me for the moment. But it can be very frustrating, and that's probably was the most painful part outside of social media. My first season is really not being able to have my whole story out there. But that being said, we sign up for entertainment, right? And if you just had, my story just, being nice and a people pleaser and kill them with kindness, that's not a show either. So I just sort of grit my teeth and accept it. And at the end of the day, what happened 2-3 years ago, it's in the past, and it's okay, and I'm okay with it.
How about you, Mary?
I also don't really go at production for anything, but I also don't think our editing is that bad. I've never watched it and thought that did not happen that way. They will show certain facial expressions, where with my husband, where he actually said a bunch of things and it just looks like he's sitting there going, whatever. And that's not what happened. But otherwise, I think all the editing is totally normal. However, on season 6, I did get quite angry at them because it was something not about editing. It was in the moment, and I just stood up for everybody. And there I'm like, enough is enough. No, we're not doing this. And I just kind of tried to lead the thing and put my foot down. So I don't know how that's going to be edited, though. It could look like I'm a complete crazy person because I started crying and yelling. And so if you guys see that, that's what really happened.
How about you?
What was the question? I was so into because I've never seen Mary angry ever.
Right?
Wait, Cal, wait.
It takes a lot.
Because you produce it, do you get to edit yourself?
I wish.
Because we
Right?
need some producers.
Actually, I first time I see the show, I don't know about you guys, it's exactly when it airs. So we don't get to see ahead of time. So I have no idea. At least you guys get 3 days. We just don't. So there's definitely moments you're like, this is not what happened. But you know what? Like you said, you can only control what you can control, and we signed up for this. So just watch it for entertainment. And just, laugh about it.
Have you guys ever watched yourself on screen and cringed at like, why did I say that? Why did I do that? Why did I wear that? Has that ever happened?
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone.
Oh,
Yes.
Well, how about reunions? Let's talk about reunions. So I feel like every single reunion you guys been a part of has some sort of crazy drama. You've all been a part of that. Can you talk to me about the reunion and how mentally draining it could be, but also, like, are you happy to see the ladies again after all the time? Kenya?
That's such a hard one. I mean, for me, reunions are kind of tough because even if you resolve an issue with someone, it comes back up again at the reunion, and then you have to fight with them all over again. So that's a little tough. For me, I just pretty much prepare like I'm going to battle, and just kind of assassinate people. And then, when you see them again, it's, 3 or 4 months later. But, reunions are really tough.
Kenya's ready. Like, do not come for
I
Kenya.
stay ready.
She stays ready. How about you, Stassi?
I've always said this, that the reunion days are the worst day out of the year. Like, out of the whole entire calendar. Like, once the reunion is over, we count down to the next worst day of the year. Like, I hate it. Or not even when it airs, when we film it. I hate it. You might like going to battle, but like, it's so much stuff to remember that I'm just like, no, I can't prepare for it. So I prefer to like kind of go in blind, where I'm just gonna react. When I'm confronted about something, I'll respond, but it's rosacea under here. It's psoriasis flare-ups. It's like, it's all of it. And we're all just like drinking whenever we can. Like, who has little mini tequilas? It's the worst. I hate it. I don't like it. Luckily, I'm out of it now, so no worries.
Crystal?
I always walk in feeling, and I've only had 2 reunions, very confident. I'm like, I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna kill them. I feel so good. I'm like bubbly. There's like a video of me. Garcelle and I were walking in, and I'm like dancing. She's like, what are you, like, why are you so happy? I'm like, I don't know, I'm feeling good. And then you leave, and everyone is miserable and hates each other. And you just sort of restart, because you have to rehash everything. And you actually forget, because it was like a year ago or 9 months ago when it aired. You're like, God, we're so through that. But the audience isn't, and so it brings up a lot of hurt feelings. But at the same time, it gives you that one opportunity to speak, and clear up what you've been so frustrated and gritting your teeth over for the last year, that you didn't get that. But they also edit the reunion. So if you get it out there, it's still not out there. I mean, the girls might hear you, and they know how you feel, but it's still not, or what I'm talking about. It's not out.
Are you guys like texting each other as the reunion is like on air?
No.
No.
No, I'm avoiding everyone at all costs. But we are all like, you see, like everyone has their phone out while we're filming it with their notes. Like, what's your beef, you know? And but you know, like I said, like I go in and everyone leaves. You know, it's crazy, but it's like it actually is quite cathartic. It's like over, and that feels like not good, but you know, there's some kind of closure.
What has been the biggest reward from being on television, Jenna?
Thanks. So many things. I think just as a dancer in our space, our show, Dancing with the Stars, is the only real show right now that celebrates dance to the caliber that it does. And when I was growing up as a dancer, I never would have imagined that I could create a career and a lifestyle for myself and provide for my family from dancing, doing something that I love. And it's just really amazing, the opportunities that we've been able to have, the platform that we've been able to have. And also, I love choreographing, and it's the biggest stage that you can choreograph for, and it's what you want to do. So I think just to be able to express myself, to do something that I love every day is quite incredible. So my experience on television has been pretty great. I really love it.
Who's your dream dance partner?
Oh, man, so many good ones. Obviously, Ryan Gosling. I think
Obviously.
John Stamos, Zac Efron, you know. But you know what? I am vouching for, I've never had an NFL player. And they tend to do really well on our show, but I just honestly want to be chucked. Like, I want to be in the air. I want to be twirling on his finger. Like, I'm here. And they are so strong, these men. They come in and they're like, they want you to yell at them. They're in it. So probably an NFL player would be my next dream partner.
When Tom Brady eventually retires, you can go on Dancing with the Stars.
I'm not sure he could chuck me like what I'm envisioning, but I'm here for it. Yes.
Now, Crystal, you were very open about how we already talked about social media, but you received a lot of online racism when it comes to being on the cast. I would love to talk to you about that. Love to talk to you, Kenya, about that, and you, Kelly, about that. How, you being a minority has affected you on your shows.
So that was probably the biggest reason why I said yes to the show, was representation. I remember thinking, I was asking the producers and casting, like, who else is in the mix? They don't tell you. And I asked, is there someone else who's Asian? And they said no. And I remember that sort of took me over the edge, because I was like, that's one less person. I think it's less than 2% on media are represented by AAPI. And I remember feeling this overwhelming sense of responsibility that if I take myself off, that leaves one less person. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in and show the beauty of Chinese culture and Asian culture in our family. And I did not expect the amount of hate that I got. I mean, they were calling my kids, my kids are half Jewish, the K word. They called me the C word. They really went for my kids, which was really weird. But it was very painful. And first year I was like, we gotta go. Because I was like, I don't think I have the strength to represent without feeling like I'm losing too much, And at the end of it, it's been my greatest gift, is to have young Asian girls come up to me and say, thank you for doing it. Because Asians don't, Asians don't put themselves out there. It's against our culture to show how we're really feeling. You can hear my shaking, because it's like, and I've known Kelly for a long time. We met a long time ago. And it's my mom. I remember when I started filming, and it was during pandemic, and the rise of anti-Asian hate crimes started happening. And my mom called me, and my mom her and Marshall locked themselves in their homes for 2 months because there were random killings and stuff. And my mom called me crying, please don't do the show, because you're gonna be a target. They're gonna find you. And I remember so scared, but I didn't want her to know I was scared. I was like, it's okay, Mom, no, don't worry. And I was like, what are we doing to our family? But after it all, it's like, we gotta show up. And I'm proud to. And it's worth it.
Yeah.
Now, Kelly, was it easier for you because the entire cast is of Asian descent? So was it easier?
I think it is easier in that sense, but you know, we were the first all Asian cast reality show ever in history in the mass media. So for us, there's a lot of pressure because that's also why I think season 1 we just gave it all. You know, I didn't hold anything back. I went to my first therapy session on camera and then just told the stranger all, and then rest of the world, all my darkest, deepest secrets, all my insecurities. But we know that we only have one chance. You know, we either make it or we don't. But you know, what Crystal said, we need more representation, and that's also why we're doing this show. And during the rise of AAPI, you know, we actually delayed our premiere for season 1 because at the time it was going so bad, and they're like, well, people are losing jobs, everybody's hating Asians, there's a lot of killing, let's just move it back a little bit. So we actually moved our premiere back 6 months to see how the situation is. But that's also why, you know, I do a lot of stuff for nonprofit, and I also started a nonprofit called Golden Voice Society to give back her API, because we need to speak up, we need to fight, and also we need to stop, like, we need to show people who we really are and stop these stereotypes.
I want to commend you for having a therapy session on camera. Just being Asian, like, we're told never to share our inner secrets with anyone in a private space, let alone on a public platform. And you know, I think people think of Asians as sort of like this homogenized group. You know, we're a monolith. We all think the same, feel the same, but we all have our own individual stories, just like anyone else. And that's why I think bling is so important, and you know, why we have to keep going, right?
Yes, thank you.
How about you, Kenya?
You know, Real Housewives of Atlanta is an all-black cast. Well, it was primarily until season 5 when Kim Zolciak quit. So honestly, to just be quite honest, we never received that. We were #1 on the network for a very long time, not just in Housewives, but for the entire network. So we were all already like very loved and appreciated. So we didn't really get that kind of hate.
Now, this is a question for everybody because we are running out of time, unfortunately. But I really want to know, if you weren't on your respected show, what other reality show would you be on? Mary?
What would it?
Do you want to learn how to dance?
I would be so bad, but yeah, I love a challenge. So I will go, you know what? I'm going to go with that one because I always want to push myself to, if I can't do something, I'm like, I'm going to try it and I'm going to learn from it and do it again. So that, I will be terrible and you guys would hate me, but that's what I would do.
I would love to be on Bling Empire. I'm not sure I would be
Please
casted,
come.
but I just love everything about the show. I also was able to meet Christine Chu. She did our show, and honestly, just the thoughtfulness behind. I mean, when we announced that we were pregnant, she was the first person to, literally the next day, I think she had a gift at my house. And anyway, I just like loved listening to her experience on the show and everything, but also just everyone is so glam and fabulous. I would love a day in the life. So yeah.
Please come on.
Okay.
Okay, this is kind of a little bit out of the left field. I always want to do Anthony Bourdain, like, and just be him for like a whole season. Like, imagine the food you get to eat, the travel, the people, the culture. So, yes, like that, Anthony Bourdain.
Still out of my mouth, but I own a coconut water company, and so food has been really my life. And I went to culinary school, and I hope to one day have my own cooking show. Ina Garten is my idol, so I would be in the food space, travel space, something like that. Yeah.
And what
And
is
we can cook together.
what is the
I'm
name
really
of your
bad
coconut water?
It's called Real Cocoa.
Real
You'll
Cocoa.
see it in Costco everywhere, but yes. Yeah.
Okay, I've been thinking about this as you guys have been speaking, and I really think that it would be so much fun to be a judge on the Great British Bake Off show.
Yes.
Looking out for soggy bottoms, like wondering if Paul Hollywood's gonna give a handshake. I'd like to be a team with him. A girl can dream. That's my answer.
Kenya?
Oh, that's actually an easy one for me. I think a makeover show or home renovation show on like a HGTV. I'm obsessed with home renovation. I think anyone who's watched Real Housewives of Atlanta, they saw me like build a whole house. So I want to do that again over and over and over. So yeah, HGTV.
Well, ladies, I am so happy that you joined us today at the 2022 Power Women Summit. And thank you all for coming today. Give it up for all these lovely ladies. Thank you guys so much, and enjoy the rest of the day, guys.